On Niners, on Giants, on Eagles and Skins, the Kelley-less Bills, the Marino-led Fins. Mike Ditka is back after a one-year layoff, and in case you were wondering, yes, Bo knows the playoffs. In Texas, they swear they've seen a star in the west. Or is it a moon? Either way, still a guess. The Broncos have waited for ghosts from the past. They've never arrived. Dan Reeves is aghast. Seattle's Chuck Knox is a last-second shopper.
Thomas is there. He flips away from Thomas. Right back, throws it. One in the end zone. Touchdown!
A playoff berth would be a fine season topper. St. Tags is about ready. More answers forthcoming. If Seattle beats Denver, they're still in the running. Denver and Seattle. Let's take a look at the wild card scenario in the AFC. Two positions already decided, Miami and Kansas City. Cincinnati, Houston, and Seattle fighting for the last spot. Seattle still alive at 7-7. They can join that three-way tie with a win tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and we bring you the warmest of season greetings from Seattle. The Seahawks got off to an 0-3 start. They have been devastated by injuries to their linebacking core. And yet here they are at 7-7 and still alive for the playoffs. As always, it's my pleasure to be working with Joe Theismann. And Joe, Seattle is not one of the league's more physically gifted teams. I think Chuck Knox has done the best coaching job of his career this season.
He really has, Mike. And, you know, when you take into consideration, at this point, we usually talk about players on teams that make a difference. But I believe you got to talk about the job Chuck Knox has done. His football team is very uncharacteristically averaging only 3.7 yards a carry, and they've only gotten 9 interceptions on defense. So you take a look at them, even to be in a position to be in the playoff race, they're doing so well. The other thing is you know he's going to come out and continue to try and run the football. He didn't get the nickname Ground Chuck for nothing. So it's going to be up to Denver to make some moves, and they have. They've taken Carl Mecklenburg, moved him back inside to shore up the run a little bit, taken Simon Fletcher, put him back over where he's a better pass rusher. Now the defense is settled and playing better.
You know, for Denver this year has been a humbling experience. When you're a talented team and you're 4-10, the frustration starts to come out.
It really does, and it came out for Denver after the San Diego game in the form of John Elway. John went public with his feelings. They've been building up for a number of years, and as he told me, a lot of times Super Bowls mask frustrations. But he's back. He's told me he's happy, and what we're going to see tonight is vintage John Elway, running, getting knocked down, getting up, and making big plays.
Dan Reeves on the sideline. He has really struggled through this year. 4-10, toughest experience of his coaching career, and yet 95-65-1 as the Broncos head coach. And Chuck Knox, 18 years in the NFL, trying for win number 170 tonight. Last time these teams met was in September, and it took a Treadwell 25-yard field goal in overtime to enable Denver to win at home. Seattle had a couple of chances to win it, one in regulation and one in overtime with Norm Johnson, but he missed both field goals. It's been an up-and-down year for him. He's been a hero and a GOAT. And Johnson will kick off to number 20, Kevin Clark, and number 35, Blake Ezor, the rookie out of Michigan State. Taken at the 15, across the 20, 25, 30, all the way up to the 32-yard line goes Kevin Clark. And now for tonight's die-hard starting lineups. This has not been a vintage for John Elway, even though he's thrown for 3,000 yards again. His quarterback rating is 6th in the AFC. Bobby Humphrey is only the second Denver back to have a pair of 1,000-yard seasons. He's 4th in the NFL in rushing. Up front, Ken Lanier has more starts than the rest of the linemen combined. He is an excellent run blocker. Play action to Humphrey. Elway rolls, throws to Porter coming out of the backfield. Joe Kane takes him out of bounds at midfield. Good opening play for the Broncos. Up front for that Seattle defense, Jacob Green has been revitalized by the change to the 4-3. He leads the team with 7.5 sacks. David Wyman is the only one of the club's top 5 linebackers not on IR, and he missed the first half of the year with an injury. Strong safety Nesby Glasgow became the starter in Week 4. He has used his experience well, now leading the club in tackles. First down, Denver. Ball spotted at their own 48. Humphrey. A couple to midfield. Jeff Bryant, number 77, in on the stop. And this Seattle defense has really been helped by the change to the 4-3. They seem more physically suited to it.
They really do, Mike. You know, they're not that fast necessarily up front. They're a little long in the tooth, as you mentioned. Jacob Green, after 11 years, having a good year. It gives them an opportunity to get penetration and have that extra defensive man there for pursuit.
The other thing, if they're playing the 34, they don't have 4 linebackers. Not that they want in there. 2nd and 8. Humphrey ran into his own man, went down at midfield. The reason he ran into his own man is Joe Nash was in the backfield.
Well, you know, you got to give the tackle to Keith Karts, his center. I mean, that's really who made the tackle. Bobby comes across on an overdraw. They try and get the linebackers to drop back. Now, watch this. See how he sets around? Okay. Now the center comes around to block, and all of a sudden, he's tackled. Joe Nash does a good job to run him back into his own center.
Humphrey has not been the same since an ankle injury. Had 400-yard games before he was hurt, none since. They go to 4 wide receivers and Steve Sewell in the backfield. 3rd and 8, 4-man rush. Elway rifles complete. Jackson, first down at the Seattle 40-yard line. Joe Nash all the way back after the pass rush, chasing downfield to make the stop.
Like Randall Cunningham, John Elway presents a lot of problems for defenses with his running ability. There's Nesby Glasgow. Wherever Elway's going to go, he's going to mirror him all over. Now you watch as Elway steps up into the pocket. Number 22 is just hanging. He says, "You're mine, John." He closes the gap, which is very good. You make him commit. Let him beat you throwing the ball, not running.
Humphrey on the toss. Tries to cut it back inside. Glasgow came up in a hurry. Got a shoulder into him. They'll spot it at the 36. And Bobby Humphrey will be at the Pro Bowl, as we will also in the first week in February. Little different.
Yeah, driving conditions than here.
No, there are no driving conditions here.
They're non-existent. The only way you can drive here is if you park your car and own a sleigh with a wheel.
Now, this is something that the Seattle coaching staff is probably sick to their stomach. Their linebacker, Dave Aarons, is down. They have simply been devastated at linebacker. We'll check on him when we come back. ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. By Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And by Remington, micro screen shavers. That is the frigid skyline of Seattle, Washington, pelted early this week by a tremendous snowstorm. Seattle football, or Denver football, in Seattle territory, that is. Elway to Clarence Kay. They force him out of bounds just shy of the first down sticks. Once again, Nesby Glasgow on the tackle. Dave Aarons had to be helped off the field, and they led him toward the locker room. He's been replaced by Ricky Andrews, as you see Clarence Kay coming back in.
Taking on Clarence Kay. Now watch his right ankle. He gets hung up under his own player. Tony Woods lands on it, and then the pile comes up on top of it and bends it back down.
There's Aarons being assisted to the locker room, and right now, David Wyman is the only Seattle linebacker who is not a free agent. 3rd and short. Elway rifles one, incomplete, intended for Jackson. He was covered by Dwayne Harper. And here comes the field goal unit.
And you know, it's interesting, Mike. That is the down when Dan Reeves got John Elway involved in the offense after he went public with his dissatisfaction the way things were going. He got involved in 3rd down passing and just passing in general. And he says having that extra day of film study has just made him feel more confident about what plays he feels comfortable with.
Treadwell will try from 49. It would match his season long. And it's good. So Treadwell with a 49-yarder puts the Denver Broncos on top 3-0.
Well, you've seen about the max for Dave Treadwell. Not a big rush. You want to protect against it's 3rd and short, so you want to push people up the middle, let your outside guys hang back in case of a fake, and then if you're the kicker, you just do anything you can to inch it over. Not by a lot, but it doesn't have to go. As we saw in the Redskin game last night, if you hit the bar right, it's going to bounce right over.
We talked about Seattle's trouble at linebacker. Let's take a look at what they had hoped to do at the beginning of the year. They were very happy going to the 4-3 with Wooden, Wyman in the middle, and Porter. Wyman spent the first 8 weeks of the season on IR, so games 1 through 8 they had Wooden, Como, and Porter. But Wooden tore up a knee ligament. He's out for the season. Then they went with Como, Wyman, and Porter. Como went on IR with a knee injury. So it's Kane, Wyman, and Porter. Porter, their best defensive player. He's on IR with a pulled groin and done for the year. Aaron, Wyman, and Kane, and Aarons is hurt on the opening possession tonight. So it's been a nightmare.
Now he's next.
No, he's going to bring him linebackers.
I wonder what Chuck wants under his tree.
Jefferson and Warren are back to take the kick.
Okay.
Jefferson at the 6. And he's brought down after he crosses the 25-yard line. David Craig will come out as Seattle's quarterback, not having his best year. More interceptions than touchdown passes, only one 300-yard game. The underappreciated John L. Williams, one of the best backs in the game. He has more than 600 yards rushing and 600 receiving. Andy Heck has been their most consistent lineman. The former #1 pick has Pro Bowl potential. John L. Williams behind Fenner. Tried to spin out of a tackle, picks up a couple. The Denver defense has struggled this year. Greg Cragen, an undersized nose man, he plays hard every down. He had a Pro Bowl season last year. The most respected Bronco defender, Carl Mecklenburg, has been moved back inside where he'll be in on more plays. Steve Atwater is the Pro Bowl safety. He leads the team in tackles, and with Dennis Smith, forms quite a combo back there. Smith also going to the Pro Bowl in Honolulu. Second down, 9 yards to go. In the first meeting of these teams, they ran Derek Fenner right up the middle all day long. Fenner in the eye. And Fenner will get the call. 40, 45-yard line. Atwater shoved him out of bounds. In that opening meeting, 22 carries, 144 yards for Derek Fenner.
Well, it seems like what Seattle wants to do is they'll say, all right, if you want to bring Mecklenburg back inside, we're just going to go off the right side. We'll run off the tackles here. Good job of locking up on people by that offensive line. John L. Williams gets a big block. Oh, he gets a pancake on Dennis Smith. Puts him right on his back. Big block by John L.
You don't think Fenner is enjoying this? He's making $75,000 this year, and it's contract time. First and 10 Seattle, their own 44. John L. dives forward to the 47-yard line.
If an offense can do what Seattle's doing now, control 1st and 10, come up with 2nd down and 6, maybe break one, it forces that Denver defense to have to bring more people closer to the line of scrimmage, and then it should open up your passing game. It works in a sequence. Now, this is the best scenario for Seattle on offense.
Dear Santa, it's that time, and they've got a shot. Seattle at 7-7. Chris Warren comes in to the backfield. He's number 42. And he'll get the carry. This kid is a real physical specimen. Gets it out to the 48-yard line. He's out of Ferrum College. Ron Holmes made the stop. You really liked what you saw in practice of him the other day.
I do. I think this guy here, watching him work in practice, is one of the finest physical specimens I have seen as I've traveled around the league. The one thing that Chuck has said he's had to learn, he's got to learn how to take his study habits home. He's got to take some film. He's got to study. I think the small college atmosphere has affected his transition into professional football. But when he learns how to play, he's going to put some numbers up that'll be big.
Been an excellent kickoff return man this year. Craig throwing in the flat, contact. Scansey was out there, covered by Kip Corrington. No flag. The crowd wanted one. Scansey went down before the ball got there.
Kip says, I didn't do anything. What's everybody looking at me for? David steps up, fires the ball out to the right. And it really looks like they just got tangled up with the feet. Of course, Paul comes up and says, hey, you know, I don't play this thing on my knees.
Rick Donnelly, sixth in the conference, will punt to Kevin Clark. And the boo is because they're replaying that play on the big screen here in Seattle. They didn't like it the second time they saw it. Not a good kick. But it takes a nice Seattle bounce. The beauty of artificial turf. All the way to the 5-yard line. No return after a punt of 47 yards. Midway through the first quarter in Seattle, the Broncos leading the Seahawks 3-0. This was the snowstorm that pounded Seattle earlier this week. I mean, it is still awful out there.
That's you driving.
Yeah, no kidding. That's me walking. It's the only way to get around, and traffic implies movement, so there is no traffic in Seattle. And these people deserve a lot of credit just for getting here. I mean, a lot of people that root for the Seahawks and come to the Kingdome have to drive a long way, and that's a monster assignment tonight. Humphrey trying to get some running room, not much, maybe a yard, brought down by Jacob Green.
I'm a firm believer at this point on the field. You got second down and long. I would have liked to see it happen on 1st and 10. It didn't. Run some kind of play action pass and take a shot with one of your speed receivers. The defense has got to defend 95 yards. Put them on the defensive. Stretch them out. Make them get a little scared. I mean, to pound it out here just to get punting position is defensive, offensive play.
The numbers on Elway against Seattle. He has had a wonderful career against the Seahawks defense. Humphrey again behind Porter, near the 10. Woods and Bryant brought him down. Well, you quarterbacks are all alike. You know, their 1-yard line, our 1-yard line. Let's air it out.
Doesn't matter. Throw. Here's Tony Woods, who's been moved down to the defensive end position from linebacker. Put a little weight on, using his quickness. He's become that bend individual, the backer in the end on the right side.
3rd and 5, Denver. They'll stop the play. We'll check the penalty for you.
Ball start, 76.
That's Ken Lanier, the veteran right tackle. He had Jacob Green coming hard on the outside and moved early. So it's 3rd and 10 back at the original line of scrimmage.
Number 22 right in the middle of your screen. Looks like he's going to be the guy responsible for John Elway, sort of a personal guardian.
Elway one hands the snap back, another flag. And some pushing and shoving inside. Jacob Green really coming hard the last couple of plays.
It's a tough stadium to communicate to your offensive lineman. I played here.
Ball start, number 6-9. Still 3rd down.
Darrell Hamilton, the left tackle, so they're even.
Well, you see, the thing is the tackles really get outside the voice of the quarterback. Watch the left side. Watch him rock back. See him rock? Now the ball comes a little bit late. John's just going to reach out and grab it with one hand because he knows the flag's gone up.
Well, they'll put it back near the 2 now, and it's 3rd and 12.
Now they've got all that field to defend.
Shovel to Sewell, and Jacob Green was right there. He wasn't fooled for a second. Sewell took the little shovel pass, and Green, who had come so hard on the outside the last 2 plays, crashed down inside, made the stop.
When you have defensive backs or nickel backs responsible for the quarterback, the defensive line does not have to play the option. They can close in like Green did on Sewell that time and strictly play the back, or in that case, the shovel pass.
Well, that was just recognition on the part of Jacob Green. He took one step inside and said, wait a minute, everybody's going the other way. Chris Warren back to receive the punt of Mike Moran. Not a long kick, and Warren won't get there. Touched by one of the Broncos and then down. And it will be all the way back at the 42-yard line. A punt of only 37 yards. And now we've got more pushing and shoving. We told you the frustration for the Denver Broncos with the season they've had, and Seattle is really pumped because they still have a shot for the playoff. It's 3-0 Denver. We'll be back in a moment. 5:25 to go, first quarter from Seattle. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann with you. Glad you could join us.
Sure we are.
Early Christmas greetings to you.
This weather's so screwy. It's warm in the east and cold, like say snow in Southern California. There's a snowstorm out here. Let's get this straightened away.
David Craig takes over at the 42. John L. Williams, the single setback. Play action. Craig drops it to Ron Heller. The tight end pulls his way down to the 30-yard line. Lucas made the tackle. Gain of 13.
That's what that run does for you on 1st and 10. I mean, if you can gain any kind of yards on 1st and 10, it places the defense at such a disadvantage. Now, here's the difference in the 2 years. The rushing is much. The passing yardage is incredibly higher. The points they've given up is darn near twice as much. And the takeaways, to me, is the one that jumps out the most. If you can't take the ball away from people, they're going to score points on you.
Seems that last year, every time they gambled, they won. This year, they gamble, they lose. Fenner back in there, but John L. Williams gets the ball. Nice cutback. First down and more. Dennis Smith knocked him down, but not before he reached the 16 this time. A gain of 14.
We've talked about the problem Seattle had on defense with linebackers. Denver's got that problem right there. They're playing too deep. There's the corners. Here's the safeties. You have no run supports right on that particular area. So what happens is just outside the tight end or the tackle, there's no cornerback or safety there to be able to come up and support against the run. That's why it's so easy to run against 2 deep zones.
Another first down. John L. again, another cutback. Got away from Mecklenburg, flagged down as he reaches the 10-yard line. We talked about Mecklenburg. They had been using him outside, and the preliminary call a hold against Seattle. Mecklenburg had been outside, and they wanted to get a better pass rush from him. But what happened is teams ran away from him. He was not so much involved in the defense. Now he's back inside, and it's really made a difference.
It's made a difference in the running game, but again, you're sacrificing something because you're not getting that kind of pass rush. If you had Simon Fletcher and Carl Mecklenburg on the same side, like we've seen in the league, when you get to 2 guys, Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett, Lawrence Taylor, Leonard Marshall, in their prime, the combinations is where the sacks jump up from that right side.
Of course, they've had injury problems on their linebacking core, too. Now 1st and 20. Holmes was offsides. Here's Fenner. Looked like a free play, and Fenner's all the way down to the 15-yard line. The safety, Smith and Atwater, came up to sandwich him. We'll see if Holmes was drawn off.
All those years, Jim Tunney's been a referee, one of the best referees in football. Went to a luncheon today with him and the officials in this officiating crew threw a little lunch for the Boys and Girls Club here in the area, just as a little Christmas present.
That's great.
Yeah.
Offside defense. Number 90, penalty is declined. Declined. It'll be 2nd down.
the natural tendency when a guy jumps this far off sides is to stop. David Craig does a great job. He keeps the play going. The offensive line, they just screen people, and Fenner just says, heck, nobody's here, I'll just keep running.
So it's 2nd and 10. John L. again. Brown chuck at its best. And John L. all the way to the 7. He is the first alternate to the Pro Bowl, and if he makes it, and he probably will, he will be the only Seahawk in the Pro Bowl.
Well, it's that type of a football team. David Craig is gone because other quarterbacks haven't gone in the past. But this is a total team. No real stars other than maybe John L. That name jumps out at you. And that's really the way it's been here in Seattle. They haven't won the championship, so they don't get that public recognition around the country.
In his 5th year already, the 4th all-time Seahawks rusher. 3rd and a yard. Fenner, 1st down. Needed to get inside the 6. He made the 5. And Chuck Knox told us the other day, we want to come out and try to establish the run again. You remember at the beginning of the season when people were saying, Seattle's going to go to the run and shoot. And the rest of us stood around with our mouths open saying, Chuck Knox, run and shoot? You got to be kidding.
They did. They went to the run, shoot. You know, if you say it, run, shoot, I mean, that's what they're doing. The shoot is very minimal. The run is very big.
Boy, he's done a brilliant coaching job this year. He truly has. 1st and goal, Seahawks. John L. Not this time. 2nd effort got him to the 3. And more pushing and shoving. The report on Dave Aarons for Seattle, by the way, he has a broken fibula. And he is gone. And the linebacker corps, it's unbelievable what's happening to Seattle.
They wind up with safeties playing linebackers for them. I mean, it destroys what you try and do on 1st and 10, because that's where you need your bigger people into defense against the run. Now, they talk about the fibula being a non-weight-bearing bone. I've broken that one as well as the others. It hurts.
2nd and goal. Fenner had his blocker, John L. Williams, going outside, decided to cut it back inside. Just made the line of scrimmage, and for the 2nd play in a row, Michael Brooks made the tackle. Brooks is another linebacker that they moved. They moved him inside, and he's had a very good year with it.
That's been the one move from the linebackers with Fletcher and Mecklenburg that has really paid off for him. He's the guy, I think, that really has made a big difference inside. If they could have kept Carl Mecklenburg in there, they wouldn't have had the trouble people running against him all year.
He had, there you see, 20 tackles in the 1st meeting. 3rd and goal from the 3. Craig tries to run. Now he throws and throws it behind Blades, who was wide open. So many times Craig is really successful with the scrambles and the little touch passes. Not that time.
They just have had, last week they didn't get it in hardly at all, just a couple times in 6 tries. David does an excellent job buying time. Now he just hangs it out, and Benny just can't come back. That's the toughest throw when Brian, excuse me, not Benny, Brian. That's the toughest throw when you're moving one way and the receiver's moving the other. It's very difficult to gauge distance.
Norm Johnson, who plinked a couple off the uprights last week, will go for the tying field goal and drills this one. Johnson now 20 out of 29 on the season. And with 18 seconds to go in the 1st quarter from Seattle, we're tied at 3. Battle of field goals so far, Denver and Seattle with 18 seconds to go 1st quarter. Norm Johnson has it teed up to kick to Clark and Ezor. Clark a yard deep, and he'll stay in at the urging of Blake Ezor. Be sure to be with us next Saturday. We'll have a special edition of Game Day. It starts at 11:30 Eastern. And then on Sunday, Game Day comes back at noon with Chris, Tom, Pete, and all the gang. At 7, they're back with a complete wrap-up of all the action. That's on prime time. And at 8, Joe and I will be in Houston for a big game in the AFC playoff race. The Steelers against the Oilers, and our condolences to Warren Moon. What a tough injury to get a dislocated thumb on his throwing hand. And as we understand it right now, he is out for the season. Joining a list of other prominent quarterbacks on the sideline. Elway had it batted down by Woods. Usually you say he got a hand on it. He got a chest on it.
Chest, elbow, face. I mean, that's an in-your-face jam. That's what that is. That's where you read the Spalding across, or the Wilson, excuse me, the Wilson across his forearms. It's Spalding in other sports. Watch him get up in the air. This is a very intelligent. You rush as far as you can, and as the quarterback starts to load, then you go up in the air and commit. And if you have to, you bring your arms around so that you can catch it on either side.
2nd and 10. Elway wanted to jump it and couldn't. Now throws back to the other side of the field. Wide open is Jackson. Glasgow takes him out of bounds at the 49. That's the end of the first period with a 29-yard strike from John Elway to Mark Jackson. Our score at the end of the first period from Seattle is 3-3. Back in Seattle, Chuck Knox told us he wanted to come out and establish the ground game the way they did the first time they met this team. He certainly has.
He really has, but the one thing that Denver's going to have to do is they cannot play that too-deep zone with the corners up and the safeties back. If they want to stop the running game of Seattle, they're going to have to get the safeties closer to the line of scrimmage. That's the one move they're going to have to make. That'll force David Craig to throw the football, and I don't really believe they can stop him if they play that double zone. They're going to stay back, and they're going to cram it down their throat.
We'll watch for that adjustment as we start the second quarter. Denver with the ball. 1st and 10 at its own 49. Play action to Humphrey. Same play they started the game with. Woods after Elway. And John Ayer mails this one into the front row.
After that meeting that Elway had with Dan Reeves, which was prompted by his conversation with a reporter in Denver, a lot of things got cleared up. For example, Dan Reeves said when John would come over to the sidelines after a series, he would go sit by himself. He never came over and told me whether he liked the play, he didn't like the play, whether he was mad at himself or mad at the receivers. Now the lines of communication have opened up a lot more.
And Elway has done an outstanding job in the last 4 weeks, completing nearly 2/3 of his passes. Cortez Kennedy is into the Seattle lineup in the defensive line. Their first-round draft choice. Blitz, the pass to Porter, incomplete. Andrews was there on the coverage. And you would expect Andrews is going to have to go the whole game if he can for the injured Dave Aarons. Except in the nickel spots when they take him out, and Cortez Kennedy will come out on 3rd and 10.
You know, he said what really hurt him was not coming in, and Chuck Knox said
in training camp.
In training camp, the thing about Cortez Kennedy is he lost all that practice time in pass rush techniques. That's the one area he's behind in.
But he is going to be a player. Here comes the blitz. Glasgow can't get there, pass caught. What a catch by Young at the 40-yard line. And he was drilled. And it's been quite a season for Michael Young. He's already had a career high in receptions and touchdowns.
If you're going to defend John Elway, here comes Nesby Glasgow. He's just going to come inside. If Elway's here, he's going to come after him and put pressure on him. He's assigned to him as a spy. Now he just closes the gap. Elway hangs in the pocket. It's just a great catch.
Oh.
I mean, that's just a great football catch. Elway does get it off, but Young just makes a sensational catch.
Humphrey trying to turn the corner. Boy, nice job out there by Kane. He just wasn't having any of it. Out of Oregon Tech.
When a football team defensively wants to chase the ball like Seattle does as a unit, you always keep in the back of your mind as a quarterback, I want to run the reverse back. Serves two purposes. Number one, probably pick up a big game. Secondly, make them stay home a little more and open up the holes to run to.
Give him a gain of a yard on the last play. 2nd and 9. Humphrey on the delay. Robinson got him around the ankles and brought him down at the 34-yard line. You're going to need those gloves, pal. Want to keep them close. I know why everybody showed up tonight. Not only are they Seahawks fans, they wanted to find someplace that was warm.
It's true. A lot of power out around the state of Washington.
There are some homes out here that they're saying they're not going to get power back until tomorrow. The storm was last Tuesday. 3rd and 4. Elway throws complete to Johnson at the 29-yard line. He has a first down. You don't hear much talk anymore about the three amigos, do you?
No, they're the three guys gone south is what it is. They've been nicked up a lot, haven't played together in quite a few years because of injuries. Of course, Ricky Nattiel nicked up a lot. This one, Vance Johnson just runs in the middle, sits down, knows exactly where he has to get to with the first down. I mean, he had 50 catches coming into this game. That was his 50th catch. So, I mean, it's not that he's been ignored, but as a trio, they haven't lit it up like they had in the past.
He had his best game this year against Seattle in the first meeting with 9 catches. I'm going to reset Humphrey and give him the ball. Oh. I don't think the audible fooled anybody. The entire Seattle defense was waiting in the number 5 hole. Take a look at the Budweiser storyline from Seattle with our 3-3 score. Elway with some pretty impressive first half numbers. Denver, goal-to-go defense, 3 plays, 3 yards. Seattle, 10 carries, 59 yards. They came out running early, and the average start in the battle of field position, it has been all Seattle. Here it's 2nd and 8 for Denver. Elway with all day. Flag is down. Elway throws late, knocked down in the end zone. Intended for Johnson and knocked away by Patrick Hunter.
There's only so much an offensive lineman can do.
Yeah.
When they feel like they're losing somebody, they're going to try and latch on. That time, instead of John sitting in the pocket as long as he did, as soon as receivers were covered, if he flushes, it actually helps the offensive lineman. They now see and read the defensive guy, and they say, oh, geez, he's going. I better move, too.
Holding, 79. 10 yards, still 2nd down.
Dave Wydell, the left guard that they picked up in the trade from Dallas. He and Doug are the guards, his brother.
There he is on the right side of your screen, number 79, hanging on, doing the best he can to help out. You never get mad at an offensive lineman. I mean, and everybody says, why didn't he throw the ball to Clarence K? Quarterbacks, when they're scrambling, looking for the big play.
2nd and 18. The Wydell brothers, only the 6th brother combination to play together in the history of this league. Early movement by the Broncos. They'll kill the play. It looked like the left tackle, Darrell Hamilton, for the 2nd time this game.
What the Broncos are going to have to do is they're going to have to get in the huddle and go on a rhythmic count, or else tell the tackles, which is hard to do, look at the ball. They really can't
start. Number 69, still 2nd down.
What Elway's going to have to do is get everybody and say, listen, we're going to go on a silent count because you can't hear me anyway. As soon as the center gets his hands on the ball, everybody count 1-1,000, 2-1,000, snap. That's the only way they're going to solve these illegal procedure penalties. Denver has already had 4 penalties for 22 yards. All have been called against the offensive line. Now it's 2nd and 23. And even though it is not a full house here in Seattle because of the weather, it's close, and these people make a lot of noise. Elway guns it over the middle, intended for Johnson, incomplete.
He had James Jefferson, their nickelback, in there right on his rear end. Joe, it looked like they did go with the silent count on the last.
They have to. It's the only way you can handle it. A lot of teams practice, and I'm sure Denver does. You can't really prepare for the magnitude of noise unless you get a loudspeaker, and it just doesn't work because in the heat of action, that tackle's got to be conscious of that defensive lineman coming.
Now 3rd and 23. Boy, Elway count to 1,000, throws low. Jackson made the catch, and then he's belted out of bounds, short of a first down.
I think you got to do this more with John Elway. This is when I played, we had a play called a dash, is where you drop back in the middle, bring the defensive lineman. See, they want to bring the defensive lineman in, and then what they want to do is then roll outside and buy some time in the pocket. Elway is one of those few guys. Now watch, he's looking to his right. Now watch how he looks back to the left. He's one of the few guys who can actually make that throw. But then he settles on just a mild completion down on the sidelines to Mark Jackson. See how he looks back to his left? He actually is the only guy who can look and have somebody take him seriously and say, yeah, he'll throw it there. If I look there, everybody laughs, say, he's not going to throw it back
now,
there.
Now, Blackman gets hurt on this. It looks like Jackson would have been the guy that was hurt. He was drilled, but Blackman is still down on his knees on the sideline. We'll check on his condition when we come back. Timeout with 11:13 to go in the half. Still tied at 3-3. ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Subaru. We built our reputation by building a better car. By Michelob Dry Beer. Once you experience the bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going back. And by Levi's 505, 506, and 540 jeans. David Treadwell on the field. He's already hit from 49. This time he'll try from 50. Not this time.
We found his max, 49.
Little wry smile on his face.
Yeah, that's it. That's as far as he can hit it. I mean, it's a 49-yarder. That's as far as he can hit it. He gets everything into it. He's built like a one-iron. Good hold by Gary Kubiak. And I also think kicking off of the artificial surface, when you bring your foot through, it's got to grab a little bit. On grass, it'll slide a little bit more. Now, he knows it's on line. Oh, gee. Oh, well. That's not a look at disgust. That's a look at, oh, shucks.
Former Pro Bowl kicker. So with 10:51 and counting, Seattle takes over at its own 32. Play action to Fenner. Craig rifles this one complete to Heller at the 43. Atwater and Brooks make the tackle. Gain of 10, and it should be enough for the first down.
Two ways to attack a double zone. You throw to your backs and tight ends working on the linebackers, and you also run at the corners, and we've seen Seattle do both tonight. Nice hand catch by Heller. Gets down, takes the shot from Atwater.
The Seattle offensive line has been much maligned, but they have done a very good job tonight, and they're missing Edwin Bailey, their veteran left guard. He has Derek Grills in for him. Fenner. Not much this time. Tim Lucas was right there, the first man to make the hit.
Talked about the adjustment that Denver's going to have to make to try and shut down this running game. Right there. There's Atwater. He was normally back here. Corner, safety. He's moved up to get more involved in the running game. Now, in this case, they run away. But you see with, now you have 8 people closer to the line of scrimmage who can be there to stop the run.
2nd and 10. Four-man rush. Craig in the flat to Williams. Nice job to get away from the first tackler. And then Mecklenburg takes him out of bounds along with Wyman Henderson, number 24. Hope you'll be with us for Bowl Week. Beginning Thursday, we have the Liberty Bowl at 8 o'clock, Ohio State against the Air Force. Then on Friday, the All-American Bowl with Southern Mississippi against NC State. That's a 7:30 Eastern start. And then Saturday, you'll get to see Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer. Brigham Young goes against Texas A&M. That's in the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Starts at 7:30, and we're not done yet. On Tuesday, January 1st at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, the Mazda Gator Bowl. Ole Miss versus Michigan.
Ole Miss.
Down on my old stomping grounds in Jacksonville. Craig on third down, flushed. John L. on the dump off. Nice play. Randy Robbins, normally a safety, has been forced to play corner because of all the injuries at the left corner spot, and he made the first down saving tackle. Until this year, he had not played corner since he was in college.
That's the one thing that guys that play safety and move out to corners do better than natural corners is tackle people. The natural corners cover well. The guys that are out there tackle better.
Rick Donnelly on to punt to Kevin Clark. Got a break on the first punt with a nice roll. Not a good kick off the side of his foot. And this one does not take a Seattle bounce all the way back to the 40-yard line. A punt of 13 yards for Rick Donnelly. There is a flag down on the play. Denver is indicating it is against Seattle.
I think they'll decline it. We want to give him another shot at it. Face mask against Denver.
Pointing toward Denver, and the Denver players really upset. They said, hey, it was the other way around. And now Jim Tunney says, wait a minute, we'll check it out.
Correction. Face mask foul was 94, Seattle.
So the kick will stand.
You know Jim would straighten it out.
Sure got a rise out of the Denver players, though.
It wasn't me. There's one where you plead your case and it works out. That very seldom happens.
Tunney still talking it over, and here's the final
Face
call.
mask. Number 94 kicking team would have been penalized the previous spot. Denver has declined the penalty. We'll take it to the spot of the ball, first down.
Call on Rod Stevens, number 94, the backup linebacker. It is declined, and Denver will take over outside its own 40-yard line when we come back.
Merry Christmas. Go Seahawks.
3-3 at the Kingdome. Denver and Seattle, exactly 8 minutes to go. First half of play. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann with you. Catch up on the playoff picture. In the AFC, Buffalo wins the division. Miami is in as a wild card. In the Central, Pittsburgh can win the division if they can beat Houston in our ESPN game next Sunday night. Cincinnati and Houston still alive. In the West, the Raiders and Kansas City are in definitely as wild cards. Each could still win the division, and Seattle must win the last two and get some help to make the playoffs in 1990. Denver takes over, 1st and 10 at its own 42. Elway almost intercepted. David Wyman, the middle linebacker, who had an interception a week ago, almost got his second one. Wyman was a guy who looked so forward to this season. He was going to get a chance to play middle linebacker, the spot he is best suited for, and he gets hurt and spends the first 8 weeks on IR.
And, you know, it's just been the problem they've had there. That time he gets back into his coverage very well. Elway, John's got such great confidence in his arm. He doesn't care if somebody's close. He's still going to try and drill it out.
Delay to Humphrey on 2nd and 10. Nesby Glasgow, the safety, was up at the line of scrimmage in a heartbeat and got a hand on him to help bring him down.
It's hard to run when 8 people are at the line of scrimmage. That's just Denver's going to have to start to do that to shut down Seattle's game. We've seen him make that little bit of an adjustment. Seattle feels like with Nesby up there, as long as Elway's got his hands on the football, Nesby's been assigned to him, so he'll stay close anyway.
Elway on 3rd down. 4 completions, 3 first downs. Humphrey so far, he's carried it 9 times, but only 20 yards. Straight 4-man rush again. Now here comes the blitz, And down goes Elway. Jacob Green gets the safety, but it was Eugene Robinson coming late that messed up the play.
Now what happens is if you're an offensive coordinator, you say, okay, number 22 is assigned to John. So defensively, you switch it up and you say, let's put the other safety involved in him. You got 6 defensive backs out there. Number 22 is on the left of your screen. Now, here comes number 41 because the receiver on that side was picked up by the defensive back. So it really looks like they're going to play with 2 inside safeties, either one having Elway.
Jacob Green with 106 career sacks, the 3rd man in NFL history to get to that point. Horan with the punt, and they'll let it bounce out of bounds inside the 25-yard line. And now they'll mark it outside the 25. 6:48 to go. First half of play. No return after a punt of 38 yards. We're still tied at 3.
Ho your way into the holidays.
6:48 to go. First half. We're tied at 3 here at the Kingdome in Seattle. Seahawks have taken the ball at their own 28-yard line. Christmas greetings to all of you, especially all of our troops in the Middle East. Hope they have a very peaceful Christmas. Fenner, with everybody in the world pulling behind him, he gets out to the 30-yard line. That looked like student body right, didn't it? Lucas makes a tackle again. And of course, you see the flags on all the helmets. The NFL has done that and will continue to have the players wear them throughout the course of the year through the Super Bowl as a sign of support for the some 450,000 men and women in the Persian Gulf.
Of course, a lot of families in this country be praying that everybody comes home safe soon in a peaceful manner.
Seahawks, the running game's been shut down a little bit after they were so successful on the opening drive. 2nd and 8 here. Moving on the offensive line, it was the tight end Heller. Play continues, and Craig slides down in front of Mecklenburg at the 38-yard line.
You know, the thing is that Heller can move because he's a tight end. And he gets back and gets set down.
I don't know if he got set.
Well, here's the thing. You'll see him lower left part of your screen. There he moves. He goes back down, and he sets.
5 yards, still 2nd down.
Well, I'm assuming that once you put your hand down, you make the commitment that you're in position. And then when you get up and move, you can't. But I still don't.
Well, the tight end can.
I disagree with that. I absolutely do. I thought he was back down and set for a second. I think they thought it was an offensive tackle.
Second and 13 for the Seahawks. Their own 25. Clock running, 5:40 to go first half. Craig over the middle is picked off. Smith back to the 27-yard line. Dennis Smith with his first interception of the year and a 13-yard return.
Dennis Smith has said all year that when the Broncos have struggled, everybody seemed to point a finger at me and blame me for the things that have gone bad. Well, here he does just a great job of reading David Craig's eyes. Cuts right in front of Mike Tice, who's come back to play tight end for him and really given him an outside running game as a blocker. But he's down here in the passing game. This one just barely gets in, and Smith makes a great interception.
Smith is 31 years old. He said that when you're losing, anybody over 30 is subject to being released. He wants to be around next year. Big break for the Broncos. Elway with all day. Now Jacob Green flushes it. Jackson once again belted out of bounds. This time he was hit by Dwayne Harper. Jackson has taken some shots, and there's Dennis Smith. They're going to have a Southern Cal safety reunion at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I think they're having a little party. 4 of them going.
Yeah.
Tim McDonald's got to feel terrible. He went last year, and he didn't have anybody with him.
Now Denver is even with Seattle with 9 interceptions. Neither secondary has been very good at turning it over this year.
Of course, Indianapolis with the fewest, but they had a big one last night against the Redskins, run back for a touchdown.
Craig hoping the defense can hold. Right now it's 2nd and 3. Humphrey cuts it outside. Glasgow was caught inside, and Robinson had to force him out of bounds. Humphrey missed a couple of weeks with that sprained ankle. Has not had a 100-yard game since.
You know,
Still came into this game fourth in the conference, or fourth in the league in rushing.
We had a chance to talk to Bobby yesterday. He said after the Buffalo game, when they lost, they blew that 16-point lead. He said it took their confidence and their pride away, and they're just starting to get it back now.
1st and 10, ball spotted at the 11. Johnson, nice hit. Knocked out of bounds, spotted at the 9. Elway had some mustard on that. That was a fine catch.
Not John's forte. I would not qualify that as an Elway-style pass. Here he is sprinting out. Now, when you sprint out, you normally get a little more juice on the ball. Not that he needs it.
No.
But and that's just a super catch. I mean, you know, you're extended completely. And Vance better be careful. You know, I mean, you better make sure you're a long way out of bounds.
Gain of only 2, so it's 2nd and 8 from the 9. Humphrey on the toss. Turns the corner, banged out of bounds once again by Robinson. They'll spot it at the 1. Should be a first down. Twice in a row, they've been able to turn the corner with Bobby Humphrey.
Just a guess wrong. Nesby Glasgow's going to come up inside. See how he comes up inside? Just gets caught in the wash. Winds up being a chaser instead of a supporter, but his buddy Eugene bails him out.
1st and goal from the 1. You see the clock running, approaching 3.5 minutes. We're tied at 3. 1st and goal at the 1. Humphrey. Very close, but no signal. Boy, Cortez Kennedy made a dive at him. About a half-yard to go.
Number 96, Cortez Kennedy. He said the thing that he has is quickness, and there you see him just put a swim move on and managed to get 4 yards deep penetration in the backfield to make the play.
2nd and goal. Humphrey pounds it, touchdown.
Melvin Jenkins comes up to make the hit, and he just spins off to the side. Linebackers are the only guys, I think, who can hit running backs flush and drive them back. DBs really just don't carry the weight. They don't have the load to bring with them. Watch this. He's going to come up and slides to the outside. Well, a little early start by Clarence Kay, but it doesn't get caught. As long as it doesn't get caught, you don't mind. There you see Bobby Humphrey slide to the outside for the touchdown.
Treadwell is on out of Kubiak's hold for the point after, and he's got it. So with 2:49 to go first half, we have our first touchdown of the ball game, a 1-yard Bobby Humphrey run, and it's a 1-touchdown game.
Let 8.
We are in the Kingdome in Seattle, where Denver has just taken a 10-3 lead. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, and our entire ESPN crew with you a couple of days before Christmas. Treadwell kicking to Jefferson and Chris Warren. Warren second in the conference in kickoff return. He won't get the ball. Jefferson will. It's a 15. Very short kick. And a nice return by Jefferson. Treadwell had to force him out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Be sure to be with us tomorrow night. We'll have a pair of specials on ESPN at 8 o'clock. The year in review. We'll look at the last 12 months, including all the best plays of the year. And then at 10 o'clock, Outside the Limits, the autograph game. Bob Lee looks at the phenomena of autographs, including some fan infatuation and fraudulent exploitation of this business.
Unbelievable. I think in the last 2 years, I get more cards from when I played the game than ever in my career. When we won a Super Bowl, I didn't get near as many. I mean, it's become a big business.
2:39 to go in the half for Seattle. 4-man rush, screen to Williams. Blockers in front. Boy, got a nice block from Derek Brills. and down to the Denver 46. Brill's got a pancake on that one and a gain of 15.
John L. does such a great job of keeping his feet underneath him and setting up his blockers. He gets the ball and just moves up and down the field.
Seattle goes with a hurry-up. Williams. 40, 38, driven out of bounds. Lilo Lang out of the University of Washington took him down. Well, it's so special to have somebody like John L. coming into this game, rushes for over 600 yards, receiving for over 600 yards.
He's a complete back, and there aren't a lot of them that can play 3 downs. He's one who can block, run, and catch.
Only second only to Keith Byers as a receiver among backs in the National Football League. He's #1 in the conference. John L. gets a run this time inside the 35-yard line where Warren Powers out of Maryland brought him down. And we have reached the 2-minute warning. We'll be back in a moment. Denver leading Seattle 10-3 with a minute 57 to go first half. Chuck Knox and Dan Reeves, and this year started off on a real shaky note for Dan Reeves. Had to undergo that procedure to clear out the arteries around his heart. One was blocked 95%, and Dan says he feels fine right now.
January 1st, he'll go back in for a checkup. He'd feel a lot better if this was the final score.
So people asked him what kind of diet he was on. He said, I'm on a very simple diet. If it tastes good, I spit it out. First and 10, Seattle. Craig steps up in the pocket and throws this one away. Had Blades going deep down the sideline, but he was covered well by Wyman Henderson.
Not intentional grounding because he was not in the jeopardy of being sacked. That's a rule that I think they may change next year, too. The intentional grounding and also in the grass. There are 2 rules they ought to really take a look at. Sometimes you just can't find people wide open. There's Jeff Chadwick going down the field, but of course Dave Craig was looking the other way.
Boy, Ronnie Lee, the offensive right tackle, has done a nice job tonight. He's matched up on Simon Fletcher, who is one of the premier blitzers, and Lee has kept him off David Craig. Craig gets away from the pressure. 15 and goes into the slide. He's safe at the 14-yard line. 22-yard scramble for David Craig.
You just don't think of David Craig as the running type of a quarterback, but he continues to come up with play after play, whether it be with his arm or his legs or throwing the ball away in the shotgun. Feels the pressure from the right side and up the middle. Holmes coming up the middle, Fletcher on the outside. Now he sees the open field and figures, why not? Let me get what I can get. And he's one of the better sliders, too. Most quarterbacks have sometimes trouble making a decision how to get down. You know, we saw, for example, a couple weeks ago in a game, one of the quarterbacks was trying to slide down, got his knee underneath him, whacked him in the back of the head.
Coming into this game, Craig had only gained 83 yards all year rushing. Got 22 right there. At halftime, Chris Berman will be along with the fastest 3 minutes in television. Highlights of all the games today. Tom Jackson will take a look at the Bills and the Dolphins. And weren't the Bills impressive today with Frank Reich, the backup quarterback, in control? And then we'll be back here, and Joe will tell you what he thought of the first half. 1:33 to go. First and 10, Seattle at the Denver 14. Craig throws short and complete down to the 10-yard line. Complete to Blades. Clock running with 1:23 to go.
The area that Seattle has spent a lot of time working on is inside the 25, so they've practiced it a lot this week. Now the question is, will it pay off?
Low for Scansey and couldn't pick it off his shoe tops, and he was wide open. The second chance Craig has had to throw to a wide open receiver in this game, and he's missed him.
Had Brian Blades open on a scramble in the first quarter. Now he just sets and just tries to put more juice than he has to on this. Winds up throwing it low and in the dirt.
And Scansey has great hands.
Wyman Henderson trying to stay with him. Now they get mixed up in their coverage. Henderson thinks it's a zone. He turns it over to somebody. There's nobody there.
Ozzie Smith might come up with that, but the ball's a little smaller. 3rd and 5. May have been offsides by Denver. They jumped early. Pass complete down to the 1. Scansey loses the helmet. There's a flag down at the end of the play. He was creamed after he made the catch. And now we got everybody upset.
I'll tell you who's going to get one. Grant Fever's going to get one.
He and Galloway really going after each other. Ronnie Lee into it with Galloway now.
Seattle's got a whole lot more at stake in this football game. They got to play with their heads. They can't let emotions get away from them.
You think this will take a while to sort out?
Well, I'll tell you, Jim Tunney's going to get rid of some people in a hurry. They're going to be ejections, not just penalties.
Ronnie Lee being escorted to the sideline, and I think Galloway will be awaiting the same fate. It was a head slap contest.
Well, first of all, they ripped Scansey's head off. He's lucky it's still attached. And then, and like anybody else, your teammates are going to defend you. And when somebody starts talking and somebody pushes in the back, and then everything happens.
Ronnie Lee out of Baylor, former Miami Dolphin, former Falcon. 12-year veteran. You'd think he would know better at this point.
Well, I admire his want to and help to his teammates, but you got to also be conscious they need you. There he just pulls his face mask right off. There's a penalty. That's a 15-yarder, although they're that close. Now here, Ronnie Lee comes up and pushes him. There's the punch. There's the other punch. There's another punch.
Number 99, Denver. Number 63, Seattle. 63, Seattle, 99, Denver. Both out of the ball game. Offsetting fouls when the pass was completed. First down, Seattle.
That hurts Seattle worse because he is the starting right tackle. Galloway, a backup defensive end. So you'll probably see Ron Mattis back in at the right tackle, former starter. And Mattis is in there now. Interestingly enough, he is the only player left on this roster from the 83, 84, 85 draft. And here's the start of the fight. And Galloway started it.
And then now it gets out of hand. I mean, and Millard's trying to just talk to him, and Fiesel comes in and pushes him, and then Ronnie Lee comes in. I mean,
well, if you could only have the control not to throw a punch back, you get a guy out and you get 15 yards.
Denver is disqualified. 22.
That's Alton Montgomery.
And that's for ripping Scansey's head off.
That's a good call.
I mean, he tears his head off.
I mean, it's one thing to grab a face mask, but
there he comes in. Now he's got the face mask.
Oh.
You can hurt somebody that way. That's a good disqualification. There's no place for that. You know, Andre Waters takes a lot of heat for being a so-called dirty football player for hitting people. But yet, stuff like this, it's a good job by the officiating crew not to let this game get out of hand.
Certainly is. So Montgomery and Galloway are gone.
They're not,
And so is Ronnie Lee. And we come back with 1:04 to go in the first half. The upshoot of the whole thing, it's Seattle's ball, first and goal at the 2. There goes Montgomery in the locker room.
Now, you talked about before with Galloway being a backup hurt. Denver's very short in secondary people, so Montgomery out. It really looks like a wash. And, of course, Mattis coming in now to take Lee's place.
Of course, we remember last year, Mike Harden and Steve Largent exchanged some wicked shots early and then late in the season, the game we had out here. So maybe there's a couple of paybacks going on.
No love lost between these two. Absolutely none.
Back to the point about Ron Mattis, the right tackle, the only player left on the roster from the drafts of 83, 84, 85. That should be the heart of your ball club. Guys who are 5 to 7 year veterans. And it shows that Seattle has not done a good job drafting.
Linemen you expect to be around and play 7, 8, 9, 10 years together. Like, for example, Chicago's offensive line was built and played together a long time.
But again, Chuck Knox has done the job this year. There's Ron Mattis, 5-year veteran out of Virginia. First and goal at the 2, and I don't know why we still have the delay here. Oh, finally Ronnie Lee had not left the field. And now he gets the standing ovation as he does. First and goal. John L. stacked up in the backfield, and they'll mark it down at the 5-yard line. Well, Denver got some good penetration up front.
You know, this just becomes an area where who's madder than the other guy?
Yeah.
How mad am I at you? How mad are you at me? Right now, it looks like on first down, Denver is madder than Seattle.
And Seattle uses a timeout with 46 seconds to go to talk it over. Seattle still has one.
Run gave him the first down and all the penalties offset.
If you joined us late, here's how we got to this 10-3 point. Treadwell barely makes a 49-yard field goal to give Denver a 3-0 lead. Seattle comes back and ties it up with Norm Johnson to make it 3-3. And then the only touchdown of the game so far, after a nice drive, Bobby Humphrey caps it with a 1-yard run to make it 10-3. Treadwell later had another field goal opportunity from 50 and was short, so it's still a 7-point game. Now, Joe, when you have a second and goal situation, now you're back to the 5-yard line. What do you like to call as a quarterback?
I think you got to put the ball in the hands of the quarterback with the option to run it in or else throw it. We saw on that graphic, they've been down here 4 times and managed to get -2 yards. Put it in Dave Craig's hand. Let him do something with the football.
Haven't heard much from Kane. He's flanked to the left. Kane, touchdown. Tommy Kane came into this year with 13 catches in his first 2 years. He's made 45 this year and 4 touchdowns. He has really become a big part of this offense. Johnson for the tie. Plenty of time left in the half, 42 seconds. And remember, Denver will have all of its timeouts. Johnson converts.
Tommy Kane isolated one-on-one. Seattle puts in their 4 wide receiver offense. He's got Wyman Henderson now. We saw Henderson get beat earlier by Scansey. He just slows down for a second. I believe that Henderson thinks he's going to have inside help on some of these plays, and he just doesn't. He slows down just a second. Nice job by the offensive line of Seattle. Craig wants to go right. Has an opportunity to hang in the pocket, come all the way back across the field to hit Tommy Kane with the leap spike.
And you remember we talked to him earlier this year. He tore up his knee last year, and he said he's still not 100%. He doesn't have any 5th gear. Now, most guys don't have 5 to worry about, but he says he still has to stop at 4th gear. There's the drive, 60 yards in a little over 2 minutes.
I had trouble getting to the second. I didn't even think of 3, 4, or 5. It's funny, we were sitting down talking to he and Brian Blades in the locker room. Brian's never seen snow, and he won't drive. If somebody doesn't come and pick him up, he won't get to practice. Tommy Kane, on the other hand, says, hey, this is super. I like it up this. Great driving around in the snow. It's a lot of fun.
Kane was also a hockey player. One of his teammates in junior hockey was Mario Lemieux.
Not bad.
No. If he'd have been as good as Mario, he'd still be playing hockey.
I know why he likes ice.
Clark and Ezor are deep to receive Johnson's kickoff. High and short. Takes the bounce right to Ezor inside the 10. Hemmed in, knocked out of bounds at the 14. Excellent job by Seattle covering the kick. 37 seconds to go first half. Chris Warren, the backup running back, down to make the tackle on special teams. Next Saturday, we'll have a special edition of Game Day, 11:30 Eastern. And then we'll go back to our regular schedule on Sunday at noon Eastern for Game Day. 7 o'clock Eastern prime time with highlights of all the action. And then next Sunday night, big game, the Steelers and the Oilers from Houston.
Steelers win. They win the division. They're in the playoffs. If they lose, they're out. There's no wild card for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There they are. There's how they stand.
See what Denver chooses to do with 3 timeouts. They'll send Humphrey up the middle for a couple. Nesby Glasgow again right up on the line of scrimmage is that 8th defender. And it looks like Denver is going to be content to let the clock run out.
That's a good move.
You like that on the road?
I do. Well, not only on the road. I think with that many yards to go, even though you have 3 timeouts, if the ball gets batted at all, you give Seattle a chance with enough time on the clock to come back and maybe kick a field goal. Now all of a sudden you've lost momentum, but now you've lost the lead. At least it's tied going in.
They won't have to run another play. And that's the end of the first half from Seattle, where the Seahawks have come back to tie the Broncos at 10. Let's go to Chris Berman. Chris?
All right, Michael Joe, thank you. 10-10 is your score right now at the Kingdom. Earlier today, the Super Bowl of the AFC regular season. The Buffalo Bills hosting the Dolphins, and the Bills trying to do the Reich thing, as in Frank Reich, the man that's starting at quarterback for the Bills in place of the injured Jim Kelly. And Reich was throwing the dart. Touchdown to Lofton, this one to Andre Reed. And the Bills led it 14-7 in the third. Then Thermal Thomas raced for 154 yards on 30 carries and a touchdown to put it away. Buffalo would win 24-14. Bruce Smith and the Bills saying, you're going to play here in the playoffs, goalpost or not. 24-14 Buffalo. How large was James Brooks today? How about 201 yards? Large for the Bengals against the Houston Oilers. Let's get him go for 56 yards and a touchdown. Under 2 minutes to go in the game. Disaster for the Oilers. Warren Moon dislocates his thumb on his passing hand. Out for at least 3 weeks. Houston loses the quarterback and the game 40-20. The Cleveland Browns should just punt this season away. Against Pittsburgh, they turned the ball over 9 times. Bobby Brisker made him pay. 4 touchdown passes, this one to Chris Cab Calloway. Steelers, big, 35-0. Ho, ho, ho! The Chiefs were looking for a playoff present. San Diego was tough, but late in the fourth, Steve DeBerg, playing hurt, found Todd McNair. Shed 3 or 4 would-be tacklers for the big game. It set up with less than 3 minutes to go in the game, tied at 21. The always dependable Nick Flowers hit good. The Chiefs are in the playoffs, 24-21. The Bears looking for some divine intervention. It's 9 degrees against Tampa Bay. Rookie safety Mark Carrier has been divine. That's his 10th interception of the year. Mike Tomczak playing for the injured Jim Harbaugh. Pair of touchdowns. This one to James Thornton, 27-14, Chicago. The Rams at the Falcons. Scott Case looking for some prime time against L.A. Watch this play by the unheralded Case. Makes the pick. Nobody touches him. He smells the goal line. He gets close, and then he leaves as Atlanta breaks their losing streak. They beat the Rams 20-13. They finally had something to cheer about. Big time. Blair Thomas wearing the number of Emerson Boozer, number 32. Raced for 88 yards, 41 on this carry. Kenny O'Brien to Rob Moore. Jets all over the Hapless Pats, 42-7. Would it be a bonanza for the Hawks? Jeff Hostetler for the Giants at Phoenix. Here he throws deep, 45 yards to Mark Ingram. Giants struggle, but beat the Cards 24-21. They're the second seed of the NFC. For whom would the bell toll? The Eagles or the Cowboys? The Eagles took their toll on Troy Aikman. Separated shoulder, out. And what's this? Not Randall Cunningham, but Keith Myers. 4th pass, 4th completion, 4th touchdown of the year, 17-3 Philadelphia. Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott on the sidelines and civvies against the Saints. Steve Young, quarterback the Niners. Steve Walsh to Greg Scales. The Saints were thinking upset. Led it 13-10. Under a minute to go, the Niners.
This portion of halftime is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision crafted performance.